Mabuhay, Kabustika. This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. This is part 2 of a series called All Filipinos Are Scammers and Other Stinking Thinking. I'm going to try to clear the air of some of that. I've got 5 more ways to go over this. And by the way, I just noticed I got a couple more subscribers to this channel, and that means a lot to me. So it's time to remind you to please subscribe. You've got this notification button if you want to know when the next videos are. And I've got quite a few planned, but working 6 days a week, I have to be, it's not easy to just rip them all off. I would if I could, but it does take some time. But I'd like to do, 2 or 3 a week if I've got the time. You can like the videos. You can certainly leave comments. I will try to respond to them. I actually like doing that. And this 3-part series is going to say a lot of things you're probably going to want to say something to. So you're welcome to do that. Just try to keep it clean if you disagree with me. I fully believe everything I'm saying here, so I think I can support that. So let's continue this this series. One of them is stinking thinking is Tampo. Stay away from a Filipina because you're going to get the silent treatment, and that's Tampo. I have read of some guys that did experience Tampo, some of them lasting a couple of days. Now that would drive me crazy if my wife didn't talk to me like that, because I've told her we need to communicate. As you probably all know, communication is a very important part of a good, healthy marriage. And something like Tampo just, kind of puts that on hold, and it makes it hard to trust when you know that, or you suspect that just because your wife, you've done something to hurt her, that she's not going to talk to you for days, and you're just trying to find out what exactly you did to cause her to feel that way. That's Tampo, and it seems to be a much stronger, higher level of the silent treatment than we're used to here in the U.S. Your wife doesn't respond to you right away. You know you're in trouble. But you don't plan on waiting 2 or 3 days to hear from her again. Now, Tampo is real. However, let's see, my wife's been here for over 1.5 years with me in person, and I haven't seen Tampo yet. There have been times, a little bit mild Tampo, maybe an hour or 2, but to my wife's credit, she has never strung it out long, and maybe she knows that would drive me crazy. I'm a talker, my wife is more quiet, and Tampo would really bother me because I want to know what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what she's believing, and what she's experiencing. And those 4 things, thinking, feeling, believing, experiencing, are good things to ask your wife from time to time. At least one of them, maybe every day. How are you feeling? What are you believing about this? That way she'll open up and you can know how things are going. So that's good advice I never forgot. So I do have to be sensitive to what upsets her because I don't like getting the silent treatment at all. And there are times when I deserve it, and so I don't bother her because, I know I had it coming to me. But by and large, she just keeps it very short if she's upset with me. Another one, I really dislike this one. I'm going to spray this before I even say it, just to prepare for this stinking thinking. She will change. She will change. This sounds like a prediction. People say this all the time. Your wife's going to change. Give it 5 years, or give it 10 years, or give it 13 years. Do they even know how long it's going to take for my Filipina to change? Well, we're all going to change in some ways. Life changes. It hits us with situations we weren't prepared for. But overall, I am responsible to God to find the right people for her to be with. I started doing this before she even got here, looking for a Filipina, a reputable one with a good marriage, hopefully, and to take her under her wing and kind of be a leader for her, adapting to this country and how to be a good wife. And God answered that prayer, and he found somebody for that role. I started praying for that right after I got back from the marriage. 8 months later, she was with me. So we've got another woman at church, a younger, a little older Filipina than her, and an even older Filipina than that, and a younger woman than my wife that's not a Filipina, that are her main influences, I think, so far. And as a husband, what a joy that is to know that when she's with these people, she's not going to learn bad things. She's going to learn healthy things for our marriage. They're going to be good to her. Now, I am also to prevent my wife from known bad influences. People, places, things. I need to keep her away from, well, for example, let's just throw out pornography. You don't want your wife involved with pornography. That's just a bad idea. You don't want her to go to certain places where she can, or watch certain things, or read certain things where she can get some bad influences. So you have to do what you can to protect her and shield her from those sorts of things if you don't want her to change. So I am to warn her of wrong influences. Now, I am to pray for her, and I need to be meeting her needs. She needs to know that's a constant thing. I need to build up my wife constantly. The words I say need to be words that she wants to hear. She knows when I open my mouth, it's either to praise her, or if something isn't quite right, I'm going to be very tactful and loving and caring about the way that I go about that. She needs to know that I'm going to protect her at all times, and I always have her best. And I think that can help keep her, from changing, keep her on the straight and narrow. And as far as praying for her, I pray for her throughout the day. It's a habit. It's a video series I'm going to make coming up is on habits that I have, that I do regularly, no matter how we're getting along, because they're good habits. And one of them is praying for her. As soon as I back out of the driveway at work, before I get to a certain point down the road, it's all about praying for my wife. When I get to certain points at work in the building, they're cues to start praying for my wife. That way, it just kind of automatically happens. Okay, I'm going to pray for my wife. And that's just a suggestion there. Better than tying a string around your finger, I guess. So she will change, people say. Well, that's a defeatist statement. You're just setting yourself up for failure. There's no way you have a chance to have a lasting relationship because you're believing she's going to change. Well, you got to take responsibility to make sure that she grows as a person. As a Christian, you take her to church. You talk to her about the Word of God. We have a Bible study over at our place every other Wednesday, and I think that's good for her. And the reason we're hosting, I tell my pastor, is, we both need this. It's going to be good for our marriage. It's something we can learn together. And in fact, the result of that was we're going to be baptized. We've both been baptized as infants, but we're now going to get baptized maybe in January. And hopefully my wife will let me have some film of that. Maybe she won't. But anyway, that's something we're going to be doing together. So she will change. Don't think that way. Here's another one. Your Filipina will leave you. Now, there's no point in marrying a Filipina if you know that she's only marrying you for your money, she's only marrying for a green card to get out of the Philippines, and she's going to leave you. The fact is, there's a lot of people that have not had that experience, and a lot of them don't have YouTube channels, so you wouldn't know, but this is something that you should not assume. Now, it's kind of related to the last stinking thinking that she will change. Now, marriage is just the beginning of showing love. So the fun starts after you get married. And even after her commitment, she still needs to be pursued by you, similar to the way that you were dating her. A little different when you're online, but you still have to say things to win her over. You still need to go to places that you care about. You need to probably make some sacrifices. Since you are married now, you're probably going to have to give up some things so you have time to spend with your wife, because she needs to know that she is number one in your life. So you got to keep pursuing her. Now, that's pleasant words. Your words must be pleasant. Thank her always of what you're thankful for. I've kind of made it another habit here to, at work, send her a Viber message thanking her for lunch. That's the only break I get all day, is one long lunch. I'm not crazy about that, but I tell her, thank you, hon, for making this food. Spaghetti and, ribs, pork ribs. Now that's quite a lunch, and I think everybody's envious of the way she cooks for me. So that's just a little thing to keep her with you, is to let her know that you appreciate her so much. It's the little things. Now give her touch, non-sexual touch is very important. Sacrifice for her, be unselfish, find ways to do that. You have to meet her needs. The Bible says dwell with your spouse according to knowledge. So you have to get to know her. You have to get to know what she needs emotionally and physically and spiritually, how to talk to her, what not to say. You're going to goof up while you're learning about your wife, but you do need to kind of study her and become an expert in your wife if you want to relate to her in the best way so she will stay with you. Also, go on dates. With our work schedule, it's hard to do, and we need to do a better job of that. Probably just pick a movie to go to. We did go to Branson a couple times this year, and that was nice. We also made a trip to Paris. That was big. I'd like to do that again someday. But those are, you don't get a lot of opportunities for that in your life. Now, defer to her a lot if you can. That will make her feel close to you, like she's important to you in that relationship. And here's something that will be a controversial statement. I believe that women are designed by God to be followers in this world, not leaders. Women are designed to be followers, not leaders. Now, they are primarily responders. You've seen some women, Charles Manson's women, they let him influence them. He was charismatic. There were women, they're responders. They responded all the way to the heinous things that they did. And women will follow a good leader, good or bad. So you want to be the good leader. And this channel, Love Beyond the Sea, is designed to help you be, the best husband that you can be, especially to your Filipina. That's what I have experience with. Now, she will bleed you dry for money for her family. Bleed me dry? That sounds terrible. Why would I want to marry a Filipina if she's going to bleed me dry? Well, she hasn't bled me dry. Quite the contrary. You always want to set limits before marriage and go into it knowing that there's about a 99.9% chance she's going to want money to help Mama and Papa for sure. And again, if you've been to the Philippines, you can understand why this would be so popular in their culture. And as her husband and her provider, you should want to provide for her. I did a video recently, the cost of living in the USA in pesos, and she's familiar with pesos. And I think it would shock her, absolutely shock her, to see in your country what you're paying for. I didn't itemize, but you can. And she can see how quickly all these pesos add up, and it can be overwhelming, And since she probably wants to work, she'll know that she's probably going to have to work to help pay for everything. You want to talk about retirement costs, because you're probably, as a man, older than she is. She's going to have to know that that's going to change the financial dynamic. So, she may have to be working more likely. You got to save money too. You can't give everything away when you need to be responsible and save for your future. Help her find a job, like I helped my wife find a job through temporary agency. Got her foot in the door that way, and that company is where I worked, about 650 people, called Zoetis. And after 13 months, she earned her spurs, and she got hired permanently. So I got her foot in the door, and she took it from there, and she's doing a great job. She's earning her own money, and she has some bills that she helps us with, and her car that she needs now. She's still helping her parents, but she recognizes now how expensive it is to live here, and that's given her, I think, a different perspective on that. So help her find a job, and of course it's fair to help her family considering how much she benefits you. My wife is so important to me, and she's happy and pleased when I help her family, especially if I just say, hey, I'd like to help this niece or that nephew. My wife works 40 to 60 hours a week, so she doesn't want me to help anymore. She says I've done enough. She can take care of that. Now, I may help in emergencies or whenever I just want to help, and that's always good. So she's not, women have bled people dry, not just Filipinas. Just make sure you're marrying the right person. That's a whole video in itself. But this is about stinking thinking. Last one here for part 2. She's desperate. That's why she's marrying you. You're an older foreigner. She's only marrying you because she can't marry anybody else. They're poor over there. She'll marry anybody. Look, she married you. She's desperate. In fact, you're desperate too. You can't find anybody in your own country, and here you are looking for a younger woman. You're desperate. She's desperate. You're made for each other. And I think that's stinking thinking. She's marrying you by her own choice. You're marrying her by your own choice. If there were other options, they're not as good as that person. That's why you're marrying each other. Now, she has standards. In fact, if the Filipina has no standards and she'll marry somebody 20 to 80, it doesn't matter their health or their looks or anything else, again, stay away from that person. That has scam written all over it because they appear to have no standards. And so you have to have standards too. So desperate, I don't know if desperate's the right word, although my pastor used it of me in the video. But maybe another way to say it, I married her because I was determined I had to get married. It was an absolute need, and I was going to look so far as the Philippines to find my wife, which I did. And my wife left her family, her home, everything, and now she's been with me. We've been married 3 years come May 10th, so a little over 2.5 years. Best decision I ever made, and I want you to make the best decision you could make and marry a Filipina. Be discerning, be picky, and try to avoid getting scammed, and take to heart some of the things I'm saying in these videos, because I really do want this channel to be to help men from all over the world find a Filipina. Filipinas still have good reputation. I want to make sure it stays that way. Many of us have married a Filipina and think they're just wonderful, and I, for one, want to help you do the same thing. So please subscribe to this channel as you watch these videos. Make some comments. I'll try to comment on them. I'm sure I'll say some more controversial things in the next segment. This is the end of part 2 for All Filipinas Are Scammers and Other Stinking Thinking. This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea.